Wednesday on the Captain J Hood Morning Show on ESPN 1000 and streaming on the ESPN Chicago app. And we go to the hotline, the CarX Tire Auto Hotline.
Rattle, rattle, thunder, clatter, boom, boom, boom.
Don't worry, call the CarX man.
Good morning, Tommy. How are you?
You know what? I wasn't as good because while I was waiting during the break, I was paying bills. I hate paying bills. Hate it.
So you're going like envelope by envelope
Yeah, I
and
did.
just open it up,
Yeah.
writing on the top of it how much is owed?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I know, all the young, smart people are paying everything online.
Yeah.
I still there's a few bills that I put in the mail and put a stamp on it and put a return address. And walk it to the mailbox.
You guys
The
have
best.
such a trust in the system.
Oh, time out, Chris. Wait a second. I
best.
spent an hour yesterday with my daughter trying to rectify a situation where somebody stole her identity and opened up a Capital One credit card account with a $10,000 credit limit. So don't you tell me, mister, that I should be doing things electronically because they can get you that way too, sir.
Of course, they can get you anyway. I agree with that. I just trusting that you place a physical piece of paper in a little box and another human walks up, picks up that piece of paper, and then takes it to a new destination, and it gets to that destination, which is
Been
a
doing it for
company,
centuries.
a company that is going to open it up and then cash that check for the bill.
Yeah, damn right.
That is impressive. As a younger guy, it's impressive that the logistics of how that works, the mail system, is something I guarantee you Jack McGrath also agrees with me. No. I'm just assuming he thinks mail is also interesting as well.
I would just say this. Now, again, the way you put it, and Tommy would agree with me with this, the way you put it is put it in a little box. A little box.
How else do you describe a mailbox?
I'll describe it right now. I'm a radio guy. I'll describe it right now. You know what it is? It's the American Eagle on there.
Amen, brother.
Let me tell you something. That's America.
Johnny, you know
hold
when
on a second, Tommy. That's America. And here's what you need to understand, Chris Bleck, you whippersnapper. You need to understand that is an American flag on there. There is an eagle, and that says as American as apple pie. So you over there, the communist, saying that you can't put your mail in the box. It's not just a box.
A little box.
It's not a little box
with a little flag.
It's America.
Igor Black over there. Yeah, you're communist.
And you put the little flag up.
And Chris, that's what I was going to say. When I put the flag up, I stride back to the house with pride.
I accomplished something with my day.
Yeah.
It's this guy here, man. How could he say that?
Like
Young people.
On that end, I get it. On the other end, I don't. Who is collecting this at the other end and actually taking that money and putting it in the right spot?
By the way, Chris, I'm not sure who my new mail guy is, but my old mail collector was a friendly guy. He would give my dog a treat. We'd exchange pleasantries. We'd have a conversation. We'd talk Bears football.
Oh, I get it.
We had a relationship.
I get it. I know the UPS guy in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yes.
When there's White Sox games on at night, I'm walking the dog. He stops the truck and he goes, "Why aren't you guys on?" I go,
"Oh, he knows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he knows. He knows. That's my guy."
The
I'm like,
UPS
the Sox are on.
and the Amazon guy both pay rent because they're at my house more frequently than I am.
Brother.
They don't come into the house. They're usually dropping things off and turning around and going back to the car. But
sure,
it's like 10,000 times a day.
It's amazing. And at least, if nothing else, you know that your doorbell works because it rings a million times. It is the worst. But you make a great point, Tom, when you talk about knowing the people that serve you, like the mailman. When I was a kid, we knew our mailman. You know why? Because he'd be drenched in sweat, and my old man would say, "Hey, here's an old Milwaukee. You've had a long day."
That's awesome.
You know what? Hand him an old Milwaukee, even though he's still on the route. He would just put it in his satchel and say, "Thank you, Bob."
You know what I would have
Thank you.
done, Jonathan, if I knew that? I would have impersonated a mail delivery person just to get free beer if I was young.
A nice cold old Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's funny. Real quick, my wife tells this funny story right on this, on this topic. When she grew up in Boston and she was in her neighborhood, John was their mail guy. Okay, John was the mailman that delivered the mail to their house where they lived for the entirety of her youth. To the point where John parks his mail card, gets out, and starts shaking a letter and says, "Somebody got into Boston College." Not only was he delivering the mail, he was reading the mail.
Oh, yeah.
Now, wait a minute. You're not part of the family. Well, I guess he is like part of the family, isn't he?
It's a true story. Somebody got into Boston College.
That's great.
Now, hold on a second, Tommy. Is he holding it up by candlelight? Can he see through the mail what it says there, right? The first couple of lines of the letter.
You know, it's a great question, Jonathan. I don't think he opened it, but I think he probably, because he knew that she was waiting for, a result from her application. And because they had conversations every single day with John, that I'm sure he just kind of held it up and looked through the light and see if he could.
That's great.
Yeah.
Look through
I
the
love
light. I think that's the best, you know? But that's when you knew people, though,
Yeah.
Chris. Because now it's
I
just
agree.
it's just, it's scattershot. It's just so many different people that you don't get a chance to know the one male guy that would be there for years.
Yeah.
Same route,
Yeah.
same time.
Your guy.
Yeah.
I love that.
That goes into the conversation, Jonathan. Like the people in my old neighborhood that that would come and get the recycling and the garbage. I would have conversations with them because I knew when they were driving by. I gave them Christmas tips every year because we had a relationship. So Chris, I think you need to get on board with some of the old school thoughts that Jonathan and I still subscribe to.
Exactly right.
No, I'm with you. I think supporting those who are usually coming by your house or helping you out with things, I think it's great. I think that's outstanding.
But at the same time, you're still anti-stamp. I think that's a problem.
Yeah, I agree.
You're anti-stamp.
Finding a stamp and finding where you can purchase a stamp is a pain in the butt. Absolutely.
they're
Where do you buy?
expensive
Where do you
now.
buy a stamp?
I go to the post office and I exchange pleasantries with the people working at the post office.
Yeah, that's a different conversation
Chris, I'm
in the
also
city.
the same
Waddle.
guy that waves to
I'd say
everybody when I
Chicago's a little
walk in the
different.
neighborhood.
No, I know you're very friendly. I agree.
Hi, Mr. Tommy. How are you, Mr. Tommy? Oh, God, he's addled. Oh, God. Mr.
you
Tommy.
stop that?
It's Mr. Tommy. Hi, Mr. Tommy.
No, I'm just a resident in the community. That's all I am.
Does it make me not a complete young guy that I pay the bills online, but
No,
I
I
don't
get
have
it.
but I don't have the auto pay set? I like sitting down and going through each one and then confirming the payment.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with
That's
that.
a little old school in you.
Yeah, it's a
listen,
little
you
old
got
school,
a little
right?
old school in you.
Right?
That'll count.
What's the difference between UPS and U.S. Mail for you, Chris?
There's no difference. I'm never sending something through.
One is United
UPS.
Parcel Service. The other is the United States Postal Service. Chris, they're different companies.
Yeah, no. I think Jonathan's asking like why will I be friendly to one and then not the other? Is that what you're
Is
pointing
that right? Is that right, Jay Moore? What's the difference?
Yeah, what's the difference? You're still dealing with the human aspect. Of
Yeah.
Giving something
But
to
I'm
a
I'm
human.
not giving the UPS guy anything to take and hope that it appears in that new location.
Other than a smile and a good
Yeah.
firm handshake.
He's
How you
only
doing
bringing
today?
to us.
Oh, what can Brown do for you? All right.
I know, Jonathan. You got a smart comment. after that.
No, not at all.
Yes, you
All,
do.
all I'm going to do is
don't-
get ready for the next segment of Waddle
Don't you
Wednesday.
dare not. Don't you dare
Well-
not give us that line.
Well, I think we all know what Brown can do for you.
Yeah.
Brother.
Depending on how spicy the tacos are, on the Cap and J Hood Morning Show.
Back on Chicago's Home for Sports, ESPN Chicago.
It's a Waddle Wednesday on the Cap and J Hood Morning Show on ESPN 1000. And we're streaming on the ESPN Chicago app. Tom Waddle's with us, and Chris Bleck is in for Cap. You know what? I want to talk to you two about this Bear Stadium deal because, Tommy, this is in the Tribune today. A piece entitled, scroll up. Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Bears boss met privately for the first time amid stadium push. So, Chris, for someone that's had season tickets for a long time, that's been in your family, it's something we haven't talked about, how you feel, because as Tommy and Cap and all of us have talked about, we feel like Arlington Heights is inevitable. Like the Bears are moving. However this is going to happen, they're going to move. But how does this make you feel as a Bears fan, longtime Bears fan, Soldier Field, and a possible move for the Bears?
I want a new stadium. So if that's the place, I'm all for it. I think in an ideal world, and I know, Waddle, you've talked about this, if they had the land on the lakefront and enough space to kind of have everything that they want and the infrastructure was there for it, yeah, go for it. Keep it in downtown Chicago. But I think logistically, it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So I'm totally cool with it going to Arlington Heights. They already own the property. Let's build a beautiful world-class stadium there.
Does your dad feel the same way?
Yeah, I think, well, it's closer to Libertyville, so I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
seriously. Like, for those who travel from the northern suburbs or the far southern suburbs to get to Soldier Field on a game day, it's not a 3 or 4 hour commitment. It's a 8-hour commitment. Driving downtown, the amount of traffic getting out of there, it's not fun. The game itself is fun, but the travel and all the logistics that add to it, I think he would much rather be in Arlington Heights.
Listen, I think you nailed exactly how I feel too, Chris. If you had the space, if you could do everything on the lakefront that you can do in Arlington Heights, I'm on board. Like, if you can provide me a blueprint and illustrations of how Paradise would look on the lakefront versus out in Arlington Heights, I'm all in. I just don't know how you can do it. And Jonathan, I still believe that they're not ready to say no. And I still believe the state's not ready to say yes. And where does that leave us? I think Peggy caught wind of that article, I think, late in our show yesterday. And I think at the end of it, basically, the summary was J.P. Pritzker said there's been no change in how he views this.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how you finance it. I don't know how you get past all of the obstruction that would exist anyway from people that don't want the lakefront to be disturbed any more than it's already disturbed. And I don't know, who's going to be willing to finance this. And I've said, and I'll stay with it, if the Bears want to come up with the full cost of this project, then I think that it'll get thumbs up from state legislators. Unless they do that, I don't know how this project actually gets started and finished. And we all know, Kevin Warren has talked about time is of the essence here, because every year you put it off, it's another $150 million. So I don't know.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, and as Waddle pointed to, they have to make a decision sooner than later.
Yeah.
You can't keep waiting out the state and the city of Chicago to hope that you put it on the lakefront when the price continuously goes up.
By the way, guys, also I would add this. He's put together a pretty sizable, workforce for this, and I know in comparison it's just peanuts when you compare the cost of all of what they're doing, their plans, to the actual project. But there's been some capital investment in trying to get this to happen on the lakefront. At what point does a financially conscious team ownership group, I'm just throwing this out there, say, hey, enough, we've already spent, what was it, almost $200 million on the land in Arlington Heights. We've put together this, this work group over here that has elevated our cost, and there's a significant amount of cost putting into the planning of this project. At what point does the family say, if this isn't going to work, let's stop funding something that we keep banging our head against the wall, we're not making any progress?
Yeah. So, by the way, we have our 5 burning questions. One of the questions, Chris, that you asked me was about the running back position, and I'm going to ask Tommy about that too. So, could you give us the question again about the running backs?
Well, the question was who starts at running back, but more so what I'm interested in, Waddle, is who will have the most carries this season.
I think you bring DeAndre Swift in, and he has most catches and most carries. I think you look at this offense now, and look, you're going to keep Roschon Johnson. He's a draft pick, right? I think Khalil Herbert, as functional and as solid as he's been, I think Khalil Herbert is a guy that is probably one of these guys that Ryan Poles is talking about. Hey, it's going to be hard to make this team because we've got more talent. Mm-hmm. Homer's a guy that plays a lot of special teams if he's healthy. Does he get the edge over Khalil Herbert because he's more useful in teams activity? Don't know. That's one of those, but I think that's, guys, one of those positions where when Ryan Poles said, hey, we're going to have some stiff competition here, and this is going to be a hard team to make and a hard roster to make, I think that position is probably one of them where, a solid football player is going to be, on the outside looking in.
Yeah, and I like the idea that there could be some thunder and lightning with Swift and Johnson, because this Bears roster, Tommy, is a little bit of Noah's Ark. Has got 2 of everything. Yeah, because you have a Dunze, but yet you have a Keenan Allen. You have in the secondary young players like Stevenson and Johnson, but you have a Bayard. So I like the idea of the mixing and matching of young up and coming, I hope, stars for the Bears, along with seasoned grizzled veterans on the roster too. That mix is good for me. I like at tight end. I got Gerald Everett and I got Cole Kmet.
Yeah,
It's
don't forget, guys, too. You know, and then this threshold isn't very impressive these days because of how the game's played. But DeAndre Swift was a 1,000-yard rusher last year. Okay, so they brought in a guy that averaged 4.6 yards per carry, and also is somebody that is a difference maker in the passing game. So, like in my world, DeAndre Swift was brought here. Yes, I like the Thunder and Lightning, and you can bring in Roshan Johnson, but he, in my world, is getting the vast majority of the snaps because he's the most competent guy in the passing game and the running game.
Don't forget to get yourself a nice book of stamps before you come in today.
I got a roll. I bought a roll the other day. It cost me like $85. So it ain't
They're
cheap.
expensive.
Yeah, it ain't cheap. This will last me a while. Like I'm not paying all my bills like this, but like this will probably last me maybe till the 5th week of the football season. I just looked
awesome.
at my Amex bill. And
I
it's
thought
way
you were
going
to
to
say a year.
Nah,
Jeez.
you keep those around, especially if they're great classic stamps.
Yeah, and my kids drop things on my desk too. Hey, Dad, can you mail this for me? And
So
by
you're the
way,
post office.
Yeah, slip a $400 check in there if you get a chance to. It's just.
And unfortunately, Tom's got to come up with his own envelope for that.
Yep.
I
It's not like
got
they give you an
Jonathan.
envelope.
I just bought envelopes. I got the security envelopes.
Ah, the good solid
But
ones.
you know what? This is gonna sound weird. I don't lick them to close them. I use tape.
Really?
Yeah.
You think you're going to get sick?
I don't like the taste.
Well, you do a beer chaser after that. You lick the envelope and then you take it, add a little beer, take it right out. There you go. Take the
In
taste
my
right
world,
out.
it'd be more likely that I'd drink the beer before I did that.
You'd forget about the envelope.
Hey, and before I forget something else, you know whose birthday it is today? And I want to take this opportunity on your show, if I can, to wish Jeff Joniak a happy birthday.
Oh, all right.
As football
Happy
season
birthday.
is here, the voice of the Bears, it's his birthday today.
That's awesome. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jeff Joniak and Vern Lundquist.
Oh, Vern. It's great.
It's not golf without Vern.
I think those two guys could be related. They're kind of, they get the same tone. Like they've got good, deep, Yeah, I think that maybe they're from the same broadcasting tree.
The voice of the Bears, Jeff Joniak. Tom, as always, it's a pleasure.
I love you guys.
We'll be listening later.
You don't lie to me, Chris.
I listen every day.
You don't lie to me, okay?
I'm not lying.
There's 3 things my friend Greg Nardilillo told me in life, okay? There's 3 things you don't do. You don't
Yeah.
lie to people. You don't punch your mom in the stomach. You don't show up late for a tea time. The only 3 things you got to worry about in life.
I
according to
always
Greg
listen.
Nardilillo.
That's not right.
What do you mean that's not right?
You
That
did
was
it.
his. Those
I
were
always
his
listen.
rules.
No, I know it's his rules. I'm saying I always listen.
Yeah, but you certainly didn't deny the punch to the stomach to Mom.
Rattle, rattle, thunder, clatter, boom,
Those are
boom,
good
boom.
rules.
Yeah.
Good 3 rules.
Call the car X-Men.
Thank you, Tommy.
See you.